Welcome to my podcast, Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. I'm so excited you are here. You will hear some incredible stories about how people are serving around the world, how they overcame a struggle, how they serve. These shows will give you an edge in business and your personal life. I believe serving over sales will help you grow in so many ways. And now, about our incredible sponsor, Info. Info is a web app that puts your business on people's cell phones when you meet people online or in person. They can engage with your business or send out referrals with a button click, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The power of business is connecting with more people. Remember, your network is your net worth. Info will do this for you. I would love to help spread the word about these shows, so please subscribe to this podcast and find us on all your podcast platforms. Please share with anyone you know who could benefit from our shows. Please enjoy the show. Welcome, everybody, to another awesome episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. A true servant, and I can say now a friend, and she's doing some incredible stuff in business. I want to welcome Lisa to the show. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Me too. And let's start in the beginning. What got Lisa into become a success coach?
Oh, wow. That's a loaded question. It was kind of a long time in coming. I spent 26 years in the corporate retail sector, and I reached burnout in 2005 and exited that industry. And for any viewers who have ever reached burnout or are near burnout, it's not a place you want to be. I'm sure you can relate to that. You know, in my case, I was overweight. I had a lot of health problems, challenges, communication. It was a really, really difficult time in my life. So I chose to just exit a long-term career really without a strategy, which caused significant financial hardship for many years. So I share that because that took me on a totally different trajectory. And when I left the corporate sector, I started my personal wellness journey. I lost 65 pounds. And then I started health and wellness coaching and, helped thousands of people over the period of over 11 years, help them lose weight, develop, healthy habits. And then during COVID, people were coming to me saying, oh my gosh, I'm so stressed out. I just, obviously weight gain could be a part of that too, but they felt lost. So I ended up just really starting my own company at that point and incorporating mental fitness, which I'm completing my certification for right now. So kind of came, full circle after, 26 years in the retail sector. So that's kind of where I landed.
Well, the personal struggle is always the toughest. I mean, the outward struggles are tough. How do you think you overcame it?
A lot of self-development and reflection. And I believe everybody at some point in time should have a coach or a mentor or a therapist because they can really help you get through mental blocks that you may not even know that you're aware of. I mean, for the longest time when I was going through an in-depth life coaching course, I had this huge fear of success, which I had no idea. I didn't even realize that, but I really did. And it took somebody who was skilled in that capacity to tell me, you're afraid of being successul. I'm like, that's ridiculous. Why would I be? Well, because of this, this, and this, and your actions, are leading you to that. So it's just very eye-opening.
It's a lot of people dealt with. I talked to a lot of people that are afraid of success. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, I make 100,000 this year. I'm making 20. What do I, Yeah, you're right. And everybody needs a coach, therapist. And that's what I love what you do. And I love success coach. So I want to start with, what's your definition of success? Because that's a very general term, which is okay.
Right.
What's your definition?
Good question. So it's very different for everybody, and often it includes financial, for a lot of people, but it's really when your whole life is in alignment with, your passions, your strengths, your values, they're all in alignment, and you're really living into your purpose and your God-given talents. And Yes, financially, that's usually, like I said, a part of it as well. But it's really just this peace and this ease and flow of where you are. And to me, that's when that's all in alignment, that is when you really lead a happy, fulfilled life.
And when you feel success like that, how do you feel? Or how your clients feel?
Incredible. I
Yeah.
mean, just amazing. It's just, I'm not saying you don't have stress. Of course, you can have
Yeah.
stress, but it's you respond differently and you look at challenges as learning opportunities, and oh, okay, so this is meant that I need to shift into something else, or we're going a different path here. Okay, that's okay. So learning how to pivot, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
gracefully, and not let situations like that completely derail you. So
Pivot's a great word, especially with COVID. The
yes.
people that didn't pivot no longer in business. The people that did, who have a coach like you, were very successful. Tell me a story of success, one of your clients.
One of my clients, she had a really difficult time with self-esteem, and she was very successful in her job, but she just really had these negative thoughts. And we tried different ways of getting her to kind of shift her focus. And I taught her how to go to a happy place. And I know this sounds kind of random sometimes, but I said, okay, I want you to imagine every time you start to spiral down this path, I want you to imagine that you're in your happy place. I don't know what that is, where it is. That's for you to decide. But I want you to really sit in it and feel it, and what emotions are coming up for you. And notice how, if you're by the beach, notice the breeze, notice the salt in the air, notice the birds flying, the seagulls, or, whatever it is. And she started doing that. And when things would get stressful, she's like, yep, went to the beach a lot this week.
Very cool.
Yeah, which was kind of funny, but it's something very simple. And then, I've helped a lot of clients with developing mental fitness, which is kind of a whole different thing, but it is really learning how to shut down those negative thought patterns that we have that cause us to react in certain ways.
Yeah. Do you think
So,
your experience that we just discussed a little bit earlier has helped you be a better coach?
oh, absolutely. Because I can relate to what my clients are going through because I've been there.
Yeah.
And you just feel like you've slammed into a wall, and you're like, I just don't know what I'm going to do. And, I hear all the time people say, well, I'm just biding my time until retirement. Ugh, I hate to hear that, because you might be dead by the time you reach retirement if you don't do something. And I'm not saying that you make the choice that I did in a second's notice and just exit a long-term career, because financially that's not the best thing to do unless you have plenty of resources to
Hmm.
offset that expense. But yeah, you have to have some forethought. And
Yeah.
when you allow yourself to get into that position, you could end a marriage, you could make a financial decision, like invest in something that you really haven't done your research on, or just exit a long-term career. And there needs to be forethought in that.
Yeah.
So
And I like that because I do believe experience is such a key. It's relatable. Let's go through, if I was one of your new clients,
mhm.
what's the onboarding journey like for the listeners? Anybody wants to jump in with you and be better, be a success?
Well, that's a great question. So I have the capability, because mental fitness is my foundation. I have the capability to enroll my clients in a 6-week intensive mental fitness course. And that's included, if that's something that they wish to do. Most of my clients opt to do that because they're like, wow, this is incredible. And it's very eye-opening. So they go through this intensive course, and it's not a ton of hours. I mean, it's
Mm,
basically an hour and 15 minutes a week, and they can break that into 2 to 3 minute segments. So it's not a ton of time. And it really creates awareness of those negative thought patterns and how they drive behavior and impact communication, productivity, peace of mind. It's really, really eye-opening. I had a client the other day. She's like, I wish I had known this when I was in high school,
Yeah.
because my life would have completely changed. But she just, in some ways, almost obsessive compulsive. And she's highly productive, but she has caused so much angst in her life that could have been prevented. And now she's recognizing these things. So they can go through the 6-week course. And then after that, we can continue, with one-to-one coaching. I also do group coaching as well, if
Right.
that's something that's of interest.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
a lot of my clients, they like, especially because of the subject matter, they like the one-to-one. So
No, I love that, because I used to run health clubs for 20 years with my family, fitness, and you're a health background, but your brain is a muscle and you're
totally.
building it. No
Yes, you
different than
are.
a fitness trainer. You're a mental trainer. Like, okay, I got
Yeah.
6 weeks. Here's our goal, all that you do, which is so wonderful. Very unique, because you need to practice it. You can't do it once a month or once a year.
No.
Right. How much is your mindset tied to success?
100%.
100%. Wow.
100%. I'm glad you asked me that question, because I did for an organization, a big organization, earlier in the year, a presentation on a winner's mindset. And it basically boiled down to, so pro athletes and, Olympic medalists, how do they win? Well, yes, they do. They practice a lot, but bottom line is they have coaches and they develop this winner's mindset. And basically what that is a laser focused vision of what it's going to be like to win that medal, to, win the trophy for the Super Bowl, or, whatever it is. They know, they can visualize the play or the sprint, or, whatever it is that they're doing. And they tie it to an emotion. So they know what it's going to feel like. And they just replay that over and over and over in their minds, so that it becomes second nature. And basically how our brains work is what we think about constantly drives our belief system, which then impacts our behavior. So if we're constantly thinking of something positive, we're going to attract more positivity. But negative, and I'm sure we can all relate to this at some point, you get up one morning and you trip getting out of bed and you stub your toe or whatever, and then it seems like, oh gosh, then I get a flat tire on the way to work, and then, oh, I'm late for this, and then it's like it compounds. Well, it compounds because all we're seeing is negativity, and that's all we're focusing on, instead of shifting and saying, okay, well, yeah, it's a little challenging, but that's okay. Let's focus on something else. And, when you can start to look at things in terms of, okay, what's the gift and opportunity in this situation? Or, what can I learn from this? Everything just completely shifts.
You're a smart lady, Lisa. Really smart. Listeners, I'm saying that because think about it. What I'm hearing from you, and I love, is we focus on the negative, but if you woke up that morning and won the lottery, you looked at your lottery ticket, you won a lottery, you got the best cup of coffee you ever had, you got a phone call from a client you've been trying to get a hold of. Those are 3 wins, but we don't talk about them like our 3 negatives. Stubbing our toe, coffee didn't work. We focus on that, right?
Right.
That's what I'm hearing from you. That's so powerful.
It's so true. I mean, our brains, so we have over 70,000 thoughts a day, and 80% of them are negative. That's just scientific fact. So it is really a wonder that we can get out of bed some mornings, I mean, seriously. And it's human nature to always focus on the negative. That's where our brains are kind of hardwired. And we can shift that. We can flip that so that, 20% of the time we're focusing on the negative, whereas 80%, is focused on the positive, or even less. And it just involves recognizing when we're doing it and shifting, thinking of that negative thought not as okay, I'm going to sit and stew on it for 20 minutes. Okay, it's like an alert on my phone. Okay, or a timer. It's time to shift. And that's all it is. It's like a warning signal. And then it's time to shift to something else. And I'm not saying, it's always easy. We all
Yeah.
have good days and bad
Yeah.
days, but the more you practice it and you develop that muscle, it does get easier.
And developing the muscle is a great point. And you're right. We
Yeah.
all have negative days, negative things
Mhm.
happen in our life. So if you're better at the positive, those bad days never turn to be as bad as they should be.
Exactly. Exactly.
So some value add, you said something that caught my ear about what you do. Now it's business that you work with. You help business people, correct,
hmm
to grow. But here's the value you add, and tell me if I'm wrong. You're helping them personally, their family life,
Oh,
their,
absolutely.
with their friends, with their parents at school, these other relationships outside of work. This works everywhere, right?
Oh, it does, because one area bleeds into another. To say, oh, my work life is totally separate, baloney.
Yeah.
I mean, you might be really good at setting boundaries, but you can't 100% shut off one area of your life, especially if that is where you're spending most of your time. It's going to bleed into it. Now, again, it goes back to setting quality boundaries,
Yeah.
because if you start to recognize that it's bleeding too much, then it's like, okay, time to really reinforce that boundary. But unfortunately, that doesn't always happen.
No.
But yeah, mental fitness, it's when you are mentally fit, you have clear-headed focus, which can apply to everything. You have better relationships because your communication is better. You have peace, you have calm,
And your
and
health
you're
is better.
happy. And your
Yep.
health, yes, you have
Yep.
improved health. So,
That
and that,
that's huge. I'm sorry to
Mhm.
interrupt, Lisa. I'm getting fired up here because I mean, you're going to spend money on Lisa, listeners, or whoever you're referring to her, but there's more to that. How would you like your whole world to be better? Because some
Mhm.
people, their family life's good and their business life sucks. They hate where they work. And then vice versa. They love where they work. Their wife doesn't like to know where they're working because they work too many hours, whatever that. So now you got that balance thing like this, right? You can
Yes,
fix all that.
absolutely. And speaking of balance, use the word balance. So I talk about work-life balance a lot,
Mhm.
or, personal, professional balance, however you want to look at it. And you can have a balanced life. Is it going to be perfectly in balance at all times? It won't. And that is the biggest misconception. And when I speak to this, I share that. I mean, you can't have a perfectly balanced life at all times. But again, you can recognize when things are starting to go too far in one direction, and then it's time to reset. So it's just awareness.
Yeah.
It's just awareness. It's not rocket science.
Well, the awareness is the win too. To know
Yes.
aware that you will get out of balance, but how do I get out of that? Like fixing a golf swing. I don't know if you're a golfer, but I was watching something earlier, fixing your golf swing. You fix it, it's going to solve everything else. And then if you go away from it again, here comes Lisa to teach you, like, Steve, don't do that.
hmm
Remember your mental health, remember our mindset training. I love that, because mindset's the whole world,
It really
especially
is.
after COVID. And it's been like that for hundreds of
hmm
years. All these things happen. And at the time, March of 2023, the banking, people are freaking out about my money, and
hmm
we need to chill.
I know, right? You can't control it.
No,
It's out of your
no.
control. And that's the thing, is learning to focus on things that are within your control. And I mean, I'm guilty of this too. I'm
Yeah.
far from perfect. It's real easy to go down that path. But again, it's when you recognize that you're doing it, it's like, okay, shut that down and shift your focus.
Pivot, like you used earlier.
Yes, pivot.
Well, you give us some huge nuggets, but there's a lot of nuggets in your book. Let's talk about that
Yes.
awesome book you have.
Yes, my book here.
Look at that.
Yes, From Burnout to Best Life. So I wrote this book during COVID. And what was interesting is I love to write, and I've always enjoyed writing. I took creative writing in college, but I never thought it would turn into a book. But during COVID, I started blogging, and I was spending a lot of time on virtual networking. And as my following on LinkedIn was growing, that people were starting to kind of become aware of my blogging. And I was just, strangely enough, connecting with people in the publishing world.
Mhm.
And I can't tell you how many people said, you have a lot of really good content out here. You should be writing a book. And, you hear that the first couple times, you're like, oh, thanks.
Yeah.
That's so nice of you. And then as I kept hearing it, I'm like, okay, maybe there is something to that. So I kind of put out little feelers to, closer friends, family, and they're like, yes, you definitely should write a book. So I'm like, okay, I get it, because I believe things happen for a reason. So I said, okay, I'm going to write a book. Had no idea how I was going to do it because I had never written a book before. So I started vetting a lot of different types of publishers. I knew that I wanted to retain the right to my book. So I ended up going with a great hybrid publisher, Susan Friedman, who now. She's awesome. But
Yeah.
anyways, it's the book overall. It shares my story of moving past burnout to a happy, healthy, fulfilled life, and with practical tips that you can implement. Now, not everybody is going to resonate probably with every single aspect of the book, and that's okay. It's divided into sections. So there's the first part of it that really helps you create that laser focused vision so you can create that winner's mindset, how to create goals that stick, habits, that kind of thing. And then it goes into a huge mindset portion. And then there are also pieces that talk about what you put in your body, how you move your body. So it's really like a holistic approach to health and wellness. So at the end of each chapter, there are reflection questions, and they're meant to identify pain points in your life. So this is where the reader can zero in and say, okay, so this isn't really an area that's a challenge for me, but oh yes, I really need to do some work here. So it's really to give them a clear understanding of their pain points and what they need to do to create positive change.
I love it. I love the word burnout. It's out there a lot, and it should be. It's a negative word, but it's a negative word you want to stay away from, and that leads to mental health and success. You're not successful when you're burning out.
No.
Everybody out there knows that, and we just need to reiterate that.
Absolutely.
And so when you wrote the book, it sounds like you got a lot of tools in there. When I read the book, I'm going to get some tools to help me before I call you to help you even me further.
Yes. There are a lot of practical tips, and that's what I wanted from this book. I've been getting a lot of really great feedback. I've got all 5-star reviews on Amazon, so I'm really happy about that.
Congratulations.
But again, I'm not claiming that it's perfect for everybody, and that's okay. But they are tips that are very easy to implement should you want to do the work. That's the thing.
Yeah. And I love that phrase on my little side note when people, it's not for everybody. And that's true, because we don't need everybody.
No.
If there's 350 million people in the United States and 0.5% bought your book, that's, I think, 30,000 people, or a crazy number. You'd be like, oh, I think my book's doing
very
quite
happy.
well. Right. Yeah. So I love hearing that, because when you focus on, I need everybody, you won't succeed.
No,
right?
no.
Yeah.
And I don't, that's how I claim to be for my coaching too.
Yep.
I mean, there are people that I talk to, and I'll just put it out there. I'll just say, I'm not the right person for you, but let me try to find you somebody. And I usually can refer the right person to them, or at least move them in the right direction. Because I know I'm not the perfect person for everybody, but I think I am good at what I do. And if the person is wanting to do the work, then they will be successful.
Well, that's doing business with a servant's heart. Exactly. Me or nothing is never going to work. It'll work temporarily, but it doesn't help the world.
No.
Let's do a shout out. How can they connect with you?
So the easiest way for people to connect with me is go to my website, and it's real easy. You can see my name there, lisahammett.com. So you'll hear more about my story. There is a page that talks about the book. I'm also a motivational speaker, so you can see like links to my TEDx and other presentations that I have given, and there's other resources, including you can book a call with me if you would like, or you can email me. Or you can sign up to receive my monthly blog posts. So there's all sorts of options.
A lot of content. That's why Lisa's on this show, because she's given. And I'm going to put a challenge out there. It's my new thing in my podcast. I want you to buy the book and I want you to read it. And I want you to reach out to Lisa and give her your 2 cents. Give her feedback, what you liked and what you disliked. And I want people to connect with her, because you could tell Lisa knows what the heck she's doing. And it's so powerful what she's doing. Mindset is the new frontier. I think we need to delve into that more and more like you're doing. So I thank you for being on the show.
Well, I appreciate you.
This could be go on forever, but God doesn't give us forever. He gives us 20, 25 minutes. Well, kind of here. But before we leave, I would love for you to give my audience a tip that they could take and help them in their journey.
Okay, so I've been thinking about this. So let's do a quick little mental fitness tip. Now, this is just very, very quick, but it'll give you kind of an understanding of how I work with my clients. So when you're developing mental fitness, again, it's to quiet those negative emotions that bubble up from your left brain. And to do that, we do these little micro meditations. And basically what we do is we focus on something, one of our senses, for like 10 to 15 seconds. It's not for a long period of time. So I'm just going to pick, let's rub 2 fingers together. Okay. So I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but what you're doing is you're just focusing on this. And I want you to feel like the fingertip ridges on your fingers. Are your fingertips dry? Are they smooth? You know, what's the temperature of your fingertips? If people are like, that's weird, then touch something. Like I have a mug here, you know, feel the mug, whatever it is, you know, what's the temperature? What's the texture of it? That kind of thing. And it's really like equating, imagine that you have a big whiteboard in front of you. And on that whiteboard, that dry erase board, there's just a bunch of black scribbles all over it. And those black scribbles equate to all that negative garbage that rotates, circulates in your brain. So each time that you're doing one of these or touching this, or you could focus on something that you can hear, you're taking an eraser and you're wiping some of those scribbles off the board. So the more you do that, before you know it, you have a clean white board. And it's in essence what it's doing. It's scrubbing your brain is what it's doing. So yeah. So that's my tip. And if you want to know more about that, there's a whole more in-depth part about that. But that's just a little taste of how you can kind of start to shift when you feel like you're hijacked in a situation and you're feeling really stressed. It's like focus on one of your senses for 10 to 15 seconds. And you'll start to, one, you'll lower your blood pressure, but you'll just take the focus off of whatever is marinating in the left side of your brain.